Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Jessica Flynn and I am the owner and maker of Flynn Sisters Boutique. And today we're going to be doing a full product review / demonstration on TheBoan's new pen holder arms. This is an attachment that goes on my cup turner that helps me turn those glitter and epoxy pens that we did a tutorial on a few weeks ago. If you missed that video, I'm definitely going to link it down below in the description box so you could catch up. But I absolutely love this product. I will have a link for this pen arm holder down in the description box if you want to check it out. They have a very limited amount and we have a unique discount code with them, so be sure to check that out right away as supplies are limited. So this video will also serve as a tutorial on how I made my neon rainbow leopard pen. It's super cute. It's one of my favorite designs for these pens. And of course, again, you guys, we're going to have all the products that you see in this video listed and linked in the description box. You might even find some more discount codes for you there as well. So that's definitely enough chit chat for me. Let's go ahead and get started. So here's what you get with this pen arm holder. It comes with these rods. There's 8 rods that have these special kind of rubber plugs on either end. And they're just going to fit into that little cog looking device there. That's what goes on your turner. These are the pens that we use to make the glitter and epoxy pens. These are Papermate Ink Joy pens. I'll have a link for these down below. And I'm just going to prep some of these really quick and show you how they fit onto these little rods. So to prep the pens, we're just going to take them all apart. I showed you guys this in my last tutorial. And once we got all the pieces out, we twisted off that little clip thing and then sanded it down with a 60 grit sanding block. And then I used a sharp craft knife to cut off the remainder, like nubbin from the plastic clip. And then I wipe them down with rubbing alcohol and a paper towel. So that's all the prep work that we need to do for these. And now we're ready to get them on our pen holder. Onto the rod, you're just going to pull off one of those blue rubber stopper things, slide your pen on, and then put the rubber stopper back on. And this is going to seal both ends to ensure we don't get any epoxy down in the pen shaft, which can be really problematic for these. Then you're just going to put them into the little pen holder through the holes that are provided in each spoke of the arm there. So I just put it through, and then there's another little hole to the side where you'll screw in your wing nut, and that wing nut is going to hold the rod in place. It's a tight fit, so you probably won't absolutely need the wing nut, but just to be on the safe side, I would definitely do it. So these just really easily screw in, and then we're ready to go. You'll see that it's really easy to loosen that wing nut and pull out the rod so that you can easily pull these out to paint them or whatever you've got to do. To prep paint these, I'm using a flat white spray paint, and I did keep the rods off of the turner arm to spray paint them just because I didn't want to get a bunch of paint on there. But this is what we should end up with after we prime paint them white. And then I'm going to move into my colored spray paints. To create the rainbow effect on our base paint, you only need 4 colors. I'm using fluorescent pink, fluorescent yellow, Rust-Oleum seaside teal blue, and Rust-Oleum grape. I do the pink and the purple first on the 2 outer ends, and then I go through with my yellow and my teal color. If you have any overspray from any one color, just go back over it with the other color to get even coverage through all 4 colors. You should have something that looks like this. Don't worry about getting too much blending. And remember that the closer you hold your spray paint can to your product there, the shorter of the fan you'll get. So if you spray from far away, you'll have a wide fan of color. If you spray closer up, you'll have a thin spray of color, which is what you'll want for something so small like this. I'm using my cool little like Turner arm holder to hold this in place. It's that little green device there. This is also from TheBoan, and this is just going to hold the piece upright while I'm waiting for that paint to dry. Alternatively, you could put it on a drying rack or whatever you have around to keep it upright while these are drying with the paint. Here's what they look like, all painted and ready to go. So satisfying. I absolutely love this. All right, so now we are ready for epoxy and glitter. Now that our paint is dry, my paint only took about 20 minutes or so to dry. And I am going to take these off of the pen holder here to glitter and epoxy them, just because I want to have more mobility. And again, you can see how easily these just slide off of that holder, and I'm going to use my teal arm holder again to just keep this steady on my desktop while I am working with these. I'm using a fast setting epoxy from Alumilite today. I'll have a link for this epoxy down in the description box. This is going to allow a really fast dry time for our glitter. I'm spreading less than 1 milliliter of epoxy onto my pens. And when I say less than 1, I mean like a tiny drop of epoxy. After you dip your finger into that epoxy one time, you should have almost enough to coat all 4 of these. Once I've got all of my pens coated in the epoxy and it's nice and thin and even, we're going to apply our glitter. Start with my lighter colors first in this rainbow. We're using Regina George from Peachy Olive Glitters. And then for the yellow, I'm going to be using Laser Tag, also from Peachy Olive Glitters. I'm trying to use extra fine 0.008 cuts for all of my colors, just because they're going to be easier to epoxy on something so small. Next, I'm going to be using Double Dare to help blend that yellow and blue. So just a tiny bit of green. It's not totally necessary. This is Jasmin. This is a beautiful teal blue, also from Peachy Olive Glitters. And the blue and the yellow are naturally going to blend together to create that green color. Same with the pink and the yellow. They will blend together to create your orange. And for the purple, I'm just using 112, also from Peachy Olive Glitters. This is not an extra fine cut, but it works just fine. Once we've got these all glittered, I'm going to let them dry for about an hour and a half. Remember, we did use fast setting epoxy. Your dry times may vary based on the epoxy that you're using. So we're just going to reattach those rods to our pen holder arm here, and then this just slides into the shaft of my cup turner. My cup turner is also by TheBoan. If you don't have a Bowen turner, you can use some kind of like 3/4 inch PVC adapter piece, depending on how you connect your cup arms to your turner. I'm going to be coating my pens today with the fast setting epoxy from Alumilite, and I'm using less than 30 milliliters of epoxy for all 4 of these. Notice I don't have my motor on yet, just because I want to have more control while I'm applying the epoxy. You might find that it's easier for you to remove the rods from the pen holder to epoxy these, and that's fine too. It's really easy to take them off and on. So after I get these all coated, I'm just going to let them turn for about 2 hours. Again, I am using a fast setting epoxy, so if you're using something else, you'll find that your dry times will vary. So now that our pens are dry, we're ready to apply our leopard spot decals. I already went ahead and cut these using Oracal 651 permanent glossy vinyl with my Cricut. I have a link down below for the exact leopard print image that I used, as well as the dimensions at which I cut it at. And I'm just going to remove my rods from the pen holder here, and we're going to place these spots by hand using my X-Acto knife to help me place them, and then I'll just press them down. Obviously, you could do this differently with transfer tape, or if you wanted to use like water slide or something, whatever is easier for you. I just prefer to do it this way, and it only takes a few minutes. So once I've got the decals on here, I'm ready to apply my final coat of epoxy. But first, I want to just clean up the top and bottom rim of my pen, just because we have quite a bit of like built up epoxy and glitter. So I want to clean this up before I put my final coat on there, so I'm not having to cut off so much excess epoxy at the end. So I'm just going to clean up the tips here on these rubber plugs with some acetone and a paper towel. And then using a craft knife, I'm just going to slice off some of that excess epoxy that was building up around the top and bottom of the pen shaft. You'll notice that no epoxy got inside of our pen, which is a major selling point for me with this pen holder device. Those plugs were great for keeping any kind of paint and epoxy out of our pen shaft, which is going to make reassembling our pens so much easier when we're done. All right, so once I've got these back on the pen holder here, we're just going to apply our final coat. I'm using 20 milliliters of Alumilite fast setting epoxy again. You can use this fast set epoxy as a final coat. I just wouldn't recommend it if you're applying it over like a bright white color or super light designs. All right, and so after I get these coated, I'm just gonna let this turn for about 2 to 3 hours, and then we're going to finish these up. And so my epoxy has been drying for over 3 hours, and I'm ready to remove them from the rods. And I'm gonna clean up the ends with a really sharp craft knife. Be careful on this part. You just wanna cut off that excess epoxy. And I will say that even though these plugs on these rods did a great job of keeping the epoxy out of the pen shaft, I did get a good amount of epoxy buildup, which made cleanup a little more difficult. And so in hindsight, I wish I would have gone back in that final coat and cleaned up some of that excess epoxy around the plugs to make this finishing process a little easier, and it would have looked a lot cleaner once I cut off that excess epoxy. So something to keep in mind if you end up getting these. We're just going to reassemble the pens and we're all good to go. So here is what we ended up with. I think they're super cute. I absolutely love these. You'll see up at the top where it got a little messy where I was finishing them, but they still turned out great. So overall, I'm super happy with this pen holder product from TheBoan. It did keep the pens nice and straight, so I didn't have any kind of pooling or unevenness with my epoxy. It all came out nice and smooth, which is a total bonus, and everything fit together perfectly because I didn't get any kind of product into the shaft of my pen. I'll have links for where you can find the refill for the ink on these pens, and of course links for all the other products. So that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know what you thought in the comments, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel. We do upload every Wednesday and Saturday. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you soon. And a big thank you to all of our Flynn Sisters exclusive members. Thank you for your pledge. Your support means the world to our channel. If you love this video, you could check out our last video here. Also be sure to find us on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and of course subscribe for all our new videos that come out every Wednesday and Saturday. Thanks so much for watching. See you soon.